Anybody who's trying to get into the real estate space, I say go and learn real estate. Understand what real estate is. Understand how real estate works. You will not start off or get all your knowledge at once, but at least understand it in such a way that you can speak real estate. Put yourself as someone who wants to solve a problem. So you find somebody who then has a problem within real estate and then position yourself to solve it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Founders Uncovered. I'm here with Lerato, founder of Real Estate Dominoes.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here.
Good. Great. Thank you.
So what is Real Estate Dominoes?
I like to think of it as a solution to a need and a desire that we found in the market. And the reason or how we even got to that point was because I actually started real estate from the agency end of things. So I started out as a consultant. I started out selling for other developers and all. So over years that I was working with them, we found out that there was a group of people that would tend not to be able to invest in real estate. And as much as there was this group of people that couldn't invest in real estate, there was also a growing need for real estate. So it then became, how do we help people to actually still be able to invest in real estate, even if they're not necessarily going to own them as homes, but at least enjoy the benefits of real estate. So we sell the benefits of real estate. You can grow a portfolio, you can grow wealth, you can, enjoy cash flow, enjoy this. But if you can't get in, then you don't even get any of those benefits. So the question then became, if people can invest in businesses, if people can invest in products, why is real estate such a product or a business that was going to be a challenge for people to then invest in? And that was literally how we formed the Real Estate Dominoes. So with Real Estate Dominoes, we help people, especially income earners, to be able to get started in the real estate journey, get onto the property ladder and say, even if you're not owning the property yourself, but at least you are in that entire game of investing in real estate, you're in that business, you're enjoying it, you have the privileges, you're eligible, and you can possibly, hopefully, grow up to a point where you can then say, okay, I want to own. And then at that point, it would be easier for you to say, okay, I've been investing, I've seen what's going on, and now I own, and then I can truly understand what it is. Because apart from people not being able to invest, people not being able to afford it, there's also the knowledge gap in the real estate industry where people don't even understand what are the real true things to look for. People believe, oh, I have property, I'm rich, I'm getting rich, and my property will be this, my real estate is going to become this. But there are factors, there are things that go. So if you're an investor, tendency that you would learn, you would get these information. You probably get a report that breaks down something. And then you would say, oh, okay, this is what this means. Okay, no wonder. And subconsciously, your knowledge actually starts to increase on the subject matter. You're able to have conversations. You're able to, and because it's a community, we say, make friends, be able to talk amongst yourself, come together with people who are also in it. So we're not going to lock you up and say, oh, you're just a silo. No, come in, mix up with every other person who is invested in this and build yourself.
I think one of the interesting aspects here is the concept, the whole concept of what Real Estate Dominoes is about, especially for investors. So if you want to dive in and just explain what's the concept around it.
Okay.
Right?
So the concept essentially is co-investing or co-ownership, as a lot of people are more comfortable hearing. So think about it where you and two friends decide that you want to get into real estate. It means that three of you have to come up with the money. Three of you have to take on the responsibility of going through the admin, the due diligence, everything on your own. Now, in the case where you don't even have two friends who are also interested, you are stuck because you're like, I don't know anybody else that will do this with me. In Real Estate Dominoes, we are taking away that from the occasion. As long as you are interested, you can come in and join. We already have people, or we keep finding people, So it's essentially allowing people to come in with how much they have to own little fractions of real estate that is in business. So it's rented out. It's not a place where any one person is going to live. but it's rented out. So you are, one, an investor, two, you're gaining the appreciation. 3, you're actually earning off of it. And as the property keeps growing, your value also keeps growing.
I love the concept of fractional shares,
Yes,
right? So
exactly.
owning a piece of the property, and multiple people can come in, right? So what's the entry level? What's the entry level in terms of investment?
We've made it as easy or as affordable as we can without spoiling the opportunities. And I say this because when you look at how much it is that you can start to get back, when it's too little, it changes the dynamics. You know, you almost don't feel like you're an investor. But we've brought it down to, currently it's a 1% value of the property. And because we are also not doing the really big houses or properties, I mean, it then also brings it down. So 1% right now would be in the range of 800,000. At one point, we had an option that was 400K. So that was less than 500K. And people got in and they were like, oh, how can I own with less than 400? And they didn't understand why. So we had to break it down and say, look, it's not like we're bringing this number out of a hat. It's a 1% share of the property. So if your property is 20 million, 1% would always be what would be a minimum. And then you can take it in multiples of that. And then you can basically grow your share as the case may be. Remember, it's a fraction. So you just keep growing your fraction.
What are your challenges in terms of setting this up and challenges within that real estate space?
So because we also tried to start small. So we started out by keying into flats within existing developments or upcoming developments.
Okay.
The first challenge was the initial capital and being able to explain to the developer that, look, this is what we're trying to do. So developers they want to sell, you are giving them their money. You're either keeping to their payment plan or you're paying them up front. They're not interested in, oh, this is what we're doing. We're trying to enable people. No, you can enable people. That's your passion. That's your interest. My interest is I want my money. I want my money and I don't want you to come and get mixed up with, everybody else saying that. So for us, that was the first challenge that we had to overcome. In overcoming that, we were able to develop a relationship with certain developers, because again, remember, I've done agency so I had already known a lot of them, a couple of them. I knew what they do, I know where they're at, I know what kind of projects they do. So that was like one leg up for me. So getting in, we then went and we said, okay, we want to partner with you and with you. We understand how you work. We understand what you're looking at. We know that you are credible, right? Because we've worked with you. We know your process end to end. This is what we're looking to do. So for you, it's business. You're selling this thing to us. We'll buy it and then we would work it out that way. Oh, okay, that's great, stuff like that. On the developer end, we solved that point. Then on the client or the investor end, because it was quite new, there were so many questions, which were acceptable because people ask questions when they don't understand. And I actually encourage you to ask questions when you don't understand instead of opting for, oh no, just keeping quiet or not. I'll say, ask me questions, right? And the questions were bordered on trust, bordered on not understanding how it would work, not understanding why it would work, and also in the case of helping people to understand that it's a starting point. Because when people invest in real estate, there's the idea of, oh, you become a millionaire. And then when we explain to them and say, oh, you're going to be earning this amount of money. So when we put it in fractions, people say, what does it mean monetary-wise? And then when we do the numbers, they're like, how am I going to get to 1 million with these kind of numbers? But you see, everything that comes with investments is about stacking. It's about compounding.
Exactly.
So when you look at it in a 1% share, it doesn't look attractive. But if you look at it and you say, in Q1, I can do 1%. In Q2, I can do 2% add-on. In Q3, I can maybe add another 1% into it and all of that. You find that your portfolio at the end of the year is stronger because it's not just that 1% that you started with. But not being able to start will always discourage you from the entire process. Because when you think about it and you say, oh, to buy a property, you probably have to cough up 50 million. Let's put 50 million as a number. And then you're like, where am I going to get 50 million? Oh, no. Or even if it's just a deposit of 5 million. If you can't get that deposit, you can't get it. even if you can get the deposit, question then becomes the subsequent payments that come every month that you have to make become a burden. And the question then becomes, how do I know I can make that payment every month? How am I sure that this, there's like all of those questions. But if you say, okay, I'm not going to focus on starting by owning a property, I'm going to start by investing and building my wealth, then it becomes a different discussion. It becomes a different opportunity. And that's what we're hoping that we'll be able to do. Also because the Nigerian market as a whole actually needs more investors. And I say this because we have a housing deficit that is growing. We can't expect, oh, absolutely. Right now, it's over 20 million. I mean, that's our housing deficit. That's the number of houses that we need to be able to ensure that our population are adequately housed. 20 million. So imagine 20 million houses. If we keep saying we're waiting for people to own the houses, at what point are we going to get there? How do we expect the developers to even be able to get to that point of putting up the houses? That's a lot of money. We also can't rely on government to say you would finance that amount of thing. So the earlier it is that we start to think about, okay, real estate industry needs investors, then we actually start to understand how it changes a whole lot of the dynamics. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. People tend to think, oh, okay, it's just about I own a house, there are houses everywhere, this and that. But it's not so much that, because the more houses that are built, the more development that comes to certain areas. So think about areas that didn't have houses. Okay, Lekki 1, Chevron, places like this. At some point, they were bush. But the more that houses that are getting built there, roads started coming, water started coming, electricity started coming.
It builds the infrastructure.
It builds the infrastructure. Infrastructure doesn't go in Africa, in Nigeria. It doesn't go ahead. Infrastructure comes after people have moved into the area. So all of these things were things that when you factor from the big picture, you understand the importance and the relevance for why having initiatives and options like this for people is very key. And that's one thing that we hope that in the next 5 years, we can say, yes, we created our mark in that sector. Yes.
Yeah. So you talked about developers.
Yeah.
In the event that you're trying to raise money to buy a specific property, right? What are those challenges? If you can't get the right amount of money from your clients, how do you offset that? Do you end up getting a loan, or what's that process like? So
the process currently has been that we have had to source the money as a not necessarily an investment per se, like where they're coming, but then we bring the money privately as an investment into the property.
Okay.
So yes, so when we structure it, it's everybody is this percentage, right?
Yeah.
And then we sell it out to subscribers, we get people on board, we get people in. Now, in the event that we can't meet up because people are not off-taking fast enough, we then go and say, this is an investment we have, an opportunity we have, come and invest with us. With the promise that you, as the person who's coming with the larger investment, can exit at a certain point in time. Because what we're doing with the people who are subscribing is we're saying you can own it for as long as you want. We've had people who have said, oh, rather just stay in forever, because they also want to start building equity. But with the investor saying, oh, how long are you holding my money?
Yeah.
So it's a 1 year, 2 year, so we take that kind of like as a bridge. And then we take that to augment what we have with subscribers.
Oh, that's pretty smart.
So we didn't think of it like that in the beginning, because we were like, oh no, we would, do this, we'll do that. But when society started coming up with its own things, we knew we had to make things happen. Because another thing is that, remember that there's the developer who owns the property.
And they need their money now.
They need their money, right?
Yeah.
And for you to get the best deal or the better deals, you have to ensure that you're keying in early.
Correct.
And you're holding to their quite stringent terms, right? So if you can't make that, you probably lose it. And if you tend to have that happen too many times or in too many ways, you find that even your investors get very antsy. So we had to come up with that, as a way to resolve that when we found that, oh, this may happen, this was coming up and all of that. And it has helped us to keep scaling. And where we are at currently is that we say we don't want to stay with taking just units, because taking just units limits us. It limits us from the full value of what the real estate can do. So we're hoping that our next projects will take us to a different level where we're not just doing units within existing, but we're crafting a full project, a product and a project. Yeah.
That's
And
pretty
that's
cool. What about in terms of maintenance, right? So you're renting out these units or flats. What about the maintenance around that? The tenants, are they paying, right? What is the strategy around that? Because from an investor standpoint, if I have to come in and I'm putting money down, I want to make sure that, hey, somebody's checking on this tenant, making sure that, one, the property is not damaged, two, where they're paying their rents, right? So what processes do you have in place around that? So, or what are the challenges have you faced?
Okay, so I'll start with the process, right? The process for that is we actually are accountable for that, because that is part of our work. Okay. We're telling you, come and invest in this. This is what this property will do. So our responsibility is to ensure that that happens. You are in the investment because you say you want to be able to hold that investment for 5 years, 10 years, or forever, right? And if the property gets damaged or gets run down, then that means that our promise to you has failed. So we have taken on that responsibility. And we knew that from the beginning. That was going to be a responsibility we would have to take on, because that's how we secure the investment, right? So how we work that out is we take it on from the developer, right? When we take it, we tell the developer, we're going to be a part of this process. We would understand what your general plans for maintenance are. We would understand how you tend to service the property. We'll understand how this is also going to happen. But we would also then layer our own procedures on top of that, so that when our investors get it, they know that this is what it is through and through. So we handle the whole client's sourcing end of it. We handle the continuous day-to-day maintenance, cleaning, and all of the property. We also handle the fixing of things, because you know how it is, a property. Things will get
and all of that come out from the management fee.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So so you as an investor, you think of it like, okay, I've put money down to acquire this, set it up, and all of that. The management fee essentially comes from the rents that people pay. So people come in and they pay their rents. And what we've also done with the rents is that we've staggered it to not what people call short term here, but we've made it to be in a way that we say you can come and rent it for a week, 2 weeks, a month. We always would ensure that even though you're renting for these periods, we have access. So our cleaner would always come in. People then say, oh, but why are you cleaning? We're not just cleaning. Our cleaner is cleaning and inspecting. That something is not damaged.
Exactly.
The earlier you find that something is damaged or is getting damaged, you fix it. You know what? Another thing, they say a stitch in time saves 9. So when you see something is ripping, you go there, you fix it. So that's what our cleaning process includes. So our cleaner goes in every week. We'll clean, check, document. No problems. Everything's fine. Oh, thank you. Are you good with your cleaning? Do you need anything else? No. We move on. Till next week again. So that way we are able to keep our eye out on the property, and we're also able to log when issues do come up. Now, if something gets damaged because of usage or something, and it happens, plates will get broken,
of course,
doors will get removed and stuff like that. Things that we find that are things at the expense of the tenant, we will then build them.
Have you had any crazy challenges with tenants?
Oh my God, there are always crazy challenges with tenants. And one particularly comes to mind. So our properties are also non-smoking.
Okay.
So you can't smoke inside. And we try to make room for you to be able to smoke outside. So there'll be balconies, so you can smoke outside, but not inside. Now, there was this one, and the client thought that, oh, okay, nobody will know, blah, blah, blah. And he went and he locked himself in the toilet, and he was smoking. The alarm went off, and he was wondering, what's the alarm? What a bell is ringing and all of that. We got there, and we were knocking, and when he heard knocking, okay, someone's at the door. He now goes, he puts it all off and all of that. And you say, you're smoking. He says, no, he's not smoking. The alarm says you're smoking. He said, how? No, your alarm is faulty. Someone went through, someone checked and all of that. We said, okay, first warning. Maybe leave it. You smoked in the bathroom. The first warning. Later that evening, dear client decided to test it again. And he smoked.
Wow.
The morning, that was eviction.
Yeah.
Because our contract says no smoking.
But how does eviction work, especially within Lagos, right? What are the challenges around that?
So with short-term rentals, it's
with short-term,
a bit easier.
Yeah. Okay.
So remember, it's not a year.
Yeah.
It's not. So if it were a year, then you have a challenge, right? You have that whole challenge of why, how, and all of that. But with a short-term rental, there are always those clauses.
Yeah.
But remember, our people are always in a hurry.
Yeah.
To just do, where do I sign? Here. Yeah. Have you read it? And don't worry, I'm fine. Yes, I looked through and all of that. They didn't look through. So they didn't even register that there is this consequence. So the next morning was eviction day. And we had to go in and so the person on duty, operations person, was like, sir, you have to leave the properties, Oh no, had all that conversation, blah, blah, blah. And then the client goes, no way, I can't. I paid you for XYZ. Here's a refund of the days that you've not spent. We've taken X for cleaning up after you to remove the smell and stuff like that. No, you can't. The whole argument started. But when people tend to say, oh, that these things don't happen, I actually just keep quiet because we've had a lot of instances where, you've seen these things happen. You've seen them go wrong, go well, and stuff like that. So it's one thing that comes with the territory. You just have to know how to figure it out.
Okay. You mentioned short-let, right? So do you work with Airbnb?
So with our next project, that's the one that's open currently, yes, we would list the property on Airbnb. And the reason is that it's in a more commercial area.
Okay.
So we moved from taking on properties that we thought would serve fixed needs to things that would sort out a wider range of people's needs. Correct. So currently we are in high demand areas that we know people almost always want the things. We know that the youngerish demography also want it, because we're saying, if we want to be able to provide housing, then these are the people that need housing.
Yeah.
Let's move away from the looking for daily rents, on properties and all of that. Let's move into people who need a place to stay. So we're saying these kind of places. So yes, from this project, we would definitely be listed on Airbnb. That's and people would be able to come in and say, okay, we want a space, we wanted this. Yeah, welcome.
Okay. So as a lady, right, how does it feel being a real estate entrepreneur and the real estate market in Nigeria? Especially not being a leasing agent or whatnot, but actually a real estate entrepreneur, dealing with developers. What are the challenges you face?
I think I got over that early on in my career, because as an agent, you would almost have to deal. Yes, you'd have liaisons, you'd have layers in between, and all of that. But earlier on, I kind of got over that fact that, you're a lady, there's the limitations to what you can do, what you can look for, and all that. As long as it was valid to the business, I would ensure that I was involved. When instances came and people would be like, you don't need to know this, you're a lady, you don't have to come to site. When tell me that, I'll show up on site. I'll show up on site and I'll come in sneakers and at some point I went to buy these really thick sneakers because I was not interested in buying pants. I wanted to be able to wear shoes that would protect me on site, Yeah. I had that. At some point I even had a helmet that I always had in my car. Because people would be like, no, you don't need to come to site. And I'm like, no, why? I'm like, I want to see, I want to learn, So I kind of got over that early on. And then at the the middle start of when I started being a full-on entrepreneur, talking straight on the investment and all of that, I actually attached myself to a developer that was doing a turnkey project. And I told him, I said, look, I'm coming because I want to help you sell the units, right? I want to help you sell the project. But I also want to be involved back in to understand what I'm selling. So they're like, okay, come true, you know, and it has worked.
That's
I've
good.
seen the value.
Yeah. What about, for instance, you have young people, male or female, trying to come into the real estate space, right? What would be your advice? Like, real quick, what would be your advice to, young professionals coming into the real estate space who might be skeptical, about the space? What would be your advice to them?
I'll say forget the money, get the knowledge. Without the knowledge, you're not going to make money.
Yeah.
And I say this because I also went through that. When I started, it was, I wasn't sure, it wasn't there, and they sold me all the nicer details of what you get as a real estate agent. Oh, you make money, you sell a house and all of that and all that. But the technicality of selling a house is one thing. The technicality of understanding who you're talking to is a different thing.
Yeah.
The technicality of understanding how to maneuver through the details and the questions that you will be asked is a totally different thing. If you don't have the knowledge, you're not going to make the money. So anybody who's trying to get into the real estate space, I say go and learn real estate. Understand what real estate is. Understand how real estate works. You will not start off or get all your knowledge at once, but at least understand it in such a way that you can speak real estate. Just like in finance, there's a speak to it.
Yeah.
There's a way you talk. There's the language, the lingo, the words, the things. Understand the words. Don't present as that you know it all. Just listen. Put yourself as someone who wants to solve a problem. So you find somebody who then has a problem within real estate, and then position yourself to solve it. Understand that that is always going to be your role as a real estate agent, as a real estate broker, or a real estate entrepreneur. You're solving problems.
Okay, perfect. Last question.
Okay.
What do you see, or where do you see Real Estate Dominoes going? Where's the trajectory for that?
So, the idea is that Real Estate Dominoes would eventually become this investment corporation that developers can come to for finance to build their projects.
Nice.
At some point, we would also definitely be looking at having our own portfolio in-house. So we would have a portfolio. We would be able to say, if you're a developer, you have a project, send us your project. We can look at it, see if we can invest in it. We would definitely be looking to partnering with people within the ecosystem to say, we have people who are interested. We have people who are investors in different ends of the real estate supply chain or cycle, I would say. Let's talk. Let's see what it is that we can do. Eventually, I think that will be the big picture of where we'll go. But yes, having a good portfolio will definitely be one place that we would be playing.
Nice.
Yeah, because that's how you make money in real estate. You own a chunk of the portfolio, able to make money off of it, and the portfolio would be mixed. It wouldn't just be residential. It could be, because real estate is anything.
Yeah.
It could be commercial, could be full-on estates. It could be this. We would own chunks of that in as much as we help to bring that out.
First of all, I just want to say thank you very much for coming here. I know you obviously have a busy schedule, but you made it down, so I appreciate you. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's it.